I saw a UFO and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucer.
So they may be taken by a small craft up into the sky to a kind of mothership.
EWA 517, do you want to report a UFO? Over. Negative. We don't want to report.
Hello, and welcome to Really with Tom and Dave. That's what it's called, right? We're still that it?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well done.
We got to get back in the swing of this.
We got to get back in the swing. I think we can do it. We can do it. It's going to take a second. It's been a little crazy. We're revamping. We're getting we're big new launch. It's very exciting. Takes a minute.
Get working with everything. A new company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get all ducks in a row.
And we've both been all over the place lately.
It has been a nutty couple of months, but all in good ways. And you're good. You're well.
I'm very well. Yeah, I'm currently up in Martha's Vineyard, a place I've never been before.
Fancy.
So I'm just going to stay here until I meet a Kennedy.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Throw a rock, you're going to hit one.
Then once that happens, then I'll get out of here.
Have you gone to the beach?
I'm here for a little while. I've been out on the beach quite a bit. Yeah.
Is it pretty?
Very nice. And today's kind of a stormy, more dramatic day outside. And you, how are you doing?
I am
You've
good.
Been busy.
My day job as a typist of various entertainment projects has been intense. It's been good. I mean, it's always good to be busy. I had a bunch of stuff that sort of like all got signed off to at the same time, and so the last few months has been tremendous amount of typing of me in this room.
Yeah.
This is kind of a wonderful, lovely respite. See you, hang out with you, catch up, and then afterward, I am going to spend a summery afternoon with my family, my dear family. My son is home, and Amelia's doing Amelia things. She's out and about in Europe doing. She's my daughter's very hard to pin down, as is they're busy.
Yes.
Busy young women.
Living their young lives.
Very jealous. Yeah. Very jealous. But I have to support that young life still, so I'm typing here.
Yes.
But everything's good. Everything's, I can't complain. I can complain about this topic.
Yeah, it's been another. I guess the thing that's got everyone in UFO world upset, annoyed, shaking their heads is it fair to call it a ridiculous Wall Street Journal article about UFOs and the history of UFOs?
Yes, and the timing of this, when our viewers might be seeing this will be one of the just sort of check, potholes of journalism in this topic. Hopefully better stories will have come out by the time this airs, and but currently this Wall Street Journal two-parter that purports to be kind of like a breaking story. The Wall Street Journal is going to talk about UFOs. I mean, there's sort of so much to unpack here, but my first because there's two parts now.
Yes.
And the two parts themselves don't add up to a single article of content. I am shocked by it's barely more than an X post as far as I'm concerned in terms of
it's more of an exercise in stenography than journalism.
But I'm just talking about the sheer content. There's just nothing. Yeah. There's nothing to it, and what is actually there is completely absurd and under-resourced and under-checked and flat out wrong. But I'm the 2017 New York Times article, as I recall, was this pretty. Now they got things wrong too, but it was a sweeping I mean, it was clearly like the sourcing and just the volume of information was justified. Like front page news. It was a big like it was journalism. Like I said,
Yes.
they got some things wrong. This is
But
an
they did-
entirely
they did-
different animal. I don't know,
but they
unless
did
people just don't read
corroborate-
fucking articles anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal. They got different sources. They backed things up. They had Helene Cooper, who was also on the story with them. Hounded Harry Reid.
They got
to
Harry
get
Reid on the
confirmation
record.
from him.
On the
So they
record
got
for the
everything.
first time.
Yeah, they got everything on the record. But this, the Wall Street Journal article, it just basically seems, well, the Pentagon said this, so I will write it, and that was it. That's the extent of it, and that alone would be terrible. But it's pretty clear that a lot of people that what's his name, Schechtman, reached out to, gave him other versions of the events, and he just ignored them. Just didn't include them. Didn't cite them. Didn't even print them as an alternate viewpoint on them, including the eyewitnesses to events.
Yes, it's the Joel Schechtman and Aruna Viswanatha were the. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a telemarketer call. Dave, can you hold on?
Okay.
No, they are the and it was interesting. I was watching our friends Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and George was trying in his, because he's such a gentleman and such a good human and a great journalist, and did not want to trash reporters, and was trying desperately to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then
Yes.
in between articles, and the next article came out and it was even kind of worse. There's this hilarious sort of hand wavy, like they will sort of select this kind of microscopic like aspect of the whole phenomenon, like 80 years of story, act like they've got it all figured out, and then sort of dismiss the other 95% of the, like, it would be like, and so they just concluded that it must have been made up, or like this one person that we talked to said, I never heard about that meeting, and so we just, and so investigators just assumed it was, and they did this, every single time they could have just talked to eyewitnesses or experts or fucking
Yes.
senators. Like, they also acted like that this was just this MAGA. The only people in the government that were interested were were sort of crazy Trump heads or whatever. And it is, first of all, it's a bipartisan issue.
Yes.
And there's incredibly centrist Democrats and Republicans in the Senate. Schumer, Mike Rounds, Rubio, Gillibrand, who have all discussed this, and then they acted like they didn't even exist. It's just the reality. This is not just the UFO people sort of how dare you? It's so dismissive
also
and ridiculous.
Totally dismissed the gravity of going in front of a congressional committee under oath and testifying. Like people David Grush. It's not he's he's just some crazy person ranting and claiming that and then sort of alluding that he's claimed that there have been efforts to silence him because there were, but he went under oath. These people are Brian Graves, David Grush, David Fravor, Lou Elizondo, Admiral Gallaudet, Schellenberger. And I always forget the name of the guy from NASA. I apologize to the guy from NASA. But these people all went under oath. They all put themselves in a position of being liable for criminal suits against them if they were lying to Congress under oath. The Wall Street Journal article just treated all of that like it was something very frivolous.
It is. Yeah, and it begs the question. I don't even see how reporters, national security reporters or whatever, this is too much in the world now. This is not This is not fringe. Like, it's an actively discussed, really complicated phenomenon of our lives, and it is sort of it. And I think it's going to be and is becoming as kind of omnipresent as AI, and just like the future rushing at us, and technology. Like, UAP phenomenon is mainstream. It is only going to become more mainstream, and for these journalists to behave like this is 1968, or that like the Robertson panel has just been, like, they're acting like the public is so incurious that they'll just like get this pablum fed to them, which is it doesn't even do credit to the debunkers. I mean,
No.
it's just not. It doesn't even. It's such a lazy effort to even debunk that you're just wondering, like, and who knows who these people are, but maybe it's just the state of journalism these days. Like, is it just?
I hope not. Yeah, because we're right now we really need a strong, fourth estate to keep, because obviously governmentally we're in deep trouble. So we need a strong press corps that will investigate and find out the truth. But this article, the two articles. I mean, the first article seeks to dismiss the entire history of the UFO phenomena. And then the second one seeks to assassinate the character of whistleblowers, essentially. But the first one, you don't have to be deeply knowledgeable about UFOs. You just have to have a working brain to know that article was stupid. Even if all you look at was the really stupid part, which was their dismissal of the Malmstrom Air Force Base UFO incident, which, for people who aren't aware, in 1967, at Malmstrom Missile Base, which houses several different flights of 10 nuclear-armed missiles. So in 1967, Malmstrom Air Force Base, which is at Oscar Flight, I believe, was the designation, that Robert Salas was one of the officers in charge of launching nuclear missiles, should that have to be done. And he's in basically a bunker down 65 feet below the ground, and the security forces are all at the ground level. And security hit Robert Salas and say, we've been seeing these strange lights flying all over the place. He says, all right, well, let me know if anything comes close. And then security calls him back to say there's a huge orangey gold UFO hovering above the base, hovering right above us. And it's like over the fence, and they're freaked out and panicked and terrified. And when this happens, 10 missiles go offline, become unusable. In the event of an attack, they would be useless. So that's what happened, and they weren't able to get the missiles back online till after the UFO left. And the Wall Street Journal tells the story that what actually happened was that there was a secret EMP test, and electromagnetic pulse weapon was brought in to secretly test the durability, I guess, of the missiles of Oscar Flight, and that they fired this EMP pulse device, and that when they fired it, it probably glowed an orangey glow that the security officers must have mistaken for a UFO. Now, the trouble with that is the device itself is about 60 feet long, the apparatus. It has to be mounted on concrete footings that have to be poured. It would take 2 or 3 days to bring in the equipment and set it up. So you'd have to believe that the security at a nuclear missile silo were so lax that they wouldn't notice a bunch of construction workers with flatbed trucks coming in, pouring concrete, rigging up this apparatus to hold this weapon up in the air, and no one would know this. And Robert Salas would come in that morning to go to work and wouldn't say, "Hey, what's with all this crew here? They aren't officially allowed here. Don't they read the signs about lethal force is authorized?"
Building what looks like a super weapon that they're pointing
right above our nuclear missiles.
That they're pointing at the nuclear missiles would be right in his bailiwick of things to look out for.
Oh, big thing to pay attention to. And certainly
Yeah.
those security officers were pretty lax. And so the security officers are just I don't know, like off fishing somewhere, I guess. When all of this is being built.
A 60-foot tower that the Wall Street Journal provides this like sort of like stick figure rendering that this is what they built right next to the nuclear power plant. Go ahead.
Yes, and in their own documentation supporting their article, the device that they show, the schematics that they show, is of a device that wasn't invented till I think 1973, and this happened in 1967.
Okay.
So even the documentation they used to support this article, they debunk themselves because the EMP device listed wasn't invented for several more years.
There are so many wonderful avenues of attack for this silly story that they're offering. One of them would be, so what you're telling me is that even if this technology were available, and even if they chose to somehow covertly construct a 60-foot tower of some kind of like super laser to fire at the nuclear power plant they were about to secretly test, then let's just contemplate the logic of doing that in the first place, which is at the kind of height of the Cold War. You're going to fire
after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
After the Cuban Missile Crisis, you're going to fire a experimental weapon at your own nukes to potentially disable them, or God knows what. You could set them off.
Set them off. Yeah, they had no idea. They had no idea what the effect would be.
What's going to happen? Like if we just shoot an EMP at our nukes, our most sensitive weapons at the most sensitive time of our nation. I mean, I suppose you could have morons that incredible in the Pentagon. I mean,
and what would be the reason for keeping the missile launch commanders in the dark about it?
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, why keep it a secret from them? Why would you keep it a secret from the security forces at the missile silos? Like, what's the argument for that being kept secret?
I just want to be there for the pitch. I just want to be there for like the colonel's like, okay, like listen, I think just bear with me here.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the concrete bunkers. We're gonna build the tower, and we're gonna shoot the missiles. My first question is, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What's the point? Because if you're, fire it at the Russians. What? Don't fire it at our own missiles. Yeah. Try to disable their missiles.
Even if you're claiming, we're doing this to determine if there's a vulnerability. Yeah. Well, all right, you could do that. Yeah. But you might not want to do it on an active. Yeah. On active missiles that are there to protect the country in the event of nuclear war.
Yeah.
You might want
missile.
to involve the team that's in charge of those missiles.
So. The premise of the debunky story is just so stupid and so ludicrous and absurd. The idea that they built this thing with nobody noticing is additionally ridiculous. Yeah. The fact that the technology didn't exist for several more years is again, just piled on top of this layer cake of absurdity. Yes. And then at the end of the day, they're using this flimsy cover story to kind of debase and debunk the hundreds and hundreds of reports of UAP activity around nuclear facilities that's gone on for 50, 60 years with multiple witnesses in Russia, in Japan, in the United States, in Europe, in Ukraine, in London. It is a ubiquitous phenomenon around these nuclear facilities, but this one stupid story, cockamamie, ridiculous story, is supposed to sort of paintbrush the entire thing as like it never happened.
Yes. And you compare it
belies logic.
Yeah, Robert Hastings wrote a great book called UFOs and Nukes, which is extremely well researched, has hundreds of incidents with multiple witnesses and corroboration on each and every one of them. So the Wall Street Journal journalists could have read that book to get some background. They apparently did not. They could have listened to Robert Salas, who they interviewed, and but they didn't. They did not. They have no quotes from Robert. They do not cite his interpretation of events, his account of the events at all. And in fact, Robert Salas is on the record as having reached out to them after the publication of the article and told them how ridiculous it is, and they have still not commented on it.
Yeah, there have been no corrections in between these two articles.
Yeah.
The other it's just so they have this thing about there was an Air Force guy who brought a photo of a UFO that was doctored to a bar near Area 51 that is somehow that photo is somehow responsible for the entire kind of conspiracy theories around Area 51. You're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's just what? No, what are you talking about? That's not true. That's so silly. And then there's this other story that like anyone who joined the Air Force was had to go through a hazing ritual, where they just said there's UFOs. Yeah, they're convinced that they're told that they are working on a UFO program. They're told they have to sign an NDA. They then work on that program for decades, and retire fearful that they will be thrown in prison or worse if they ever speak about this program. And it was all just a hazing ritual, just a prank, and that some of the guys never caught on to it. And a prank is a kind of a joke, right? Yeah. And I'm a little bit of an expert on jokes. Yes. And one of the main things about a joke, particularly the prank type of joke, is that at the end of it, you tell the person you've pranked that they've been pranked. Yes, that's the fun part. Yeah, that's the whole joke part of the prank. Yes. So not in this case. Not in this case. No. So they kind of left that. So we have to believe that that people qualified to work in top secret programs were too stupid to realize they've been pranked and spent their entire lives fearful of speaking because of a hazing ritual. And I think if you did do that to people, there should be some culpability. Obviously it's a ridiculous story that it never happened. Well, the key source of this story appears to be, the ultimate UFO troll now, this Kirkpatrick fellow who ran the first Arrow, which, let's be honest, the idea of Arrow is still silly, that the Pentagon's going to investigate itself and we're going to set up the, hey, yeah, absolutely, guys, give us the money. We're going to get to the bottom of this thing that we've been keeping secret for 70 years, the classic fox in the hen house. So anyway, Kirkpatrick was, he now just, it's his second career or whatever, appears to be just enraging the UFO community with absurdities and seems to think this idea that some little joke is responsible for thousands and thousands, just replicated thousands and thousands of people that think there's a secret UFO program because of this one little joke that they haze people with is dumb. That's a dumb story, dumb idea. Dismisses, of course, just volumes and everything. Pilots seeing Tic Tacs in the it is this hilarious an army of credible sources. Just a hand wave, and who's this for? Who's this for? That the that photo going on the wall in a bar in the middle of the desert in Nevada is responsible, that because they were trying to get everyone to believe that that if they were seeing top secret military aircraft being tested in the area, that they should think those are UFOs, and that's why people think they see UFOs. Is because the government wanted to misdirect them when they see the U-2 spy planes flying around, right? Which doesn't make sense. Like I say, well, that doesn't explain all of the sightings in, say, Brazil or Chile or Russia or China. They were all U.S. And it was also known, Dave, the story was broken by George Knapp's best friend Ned Day. Ned Day broke the F-117 stealth bomber story. It wasn't even a secret in the late or mid 80s. He broke it like it's the top UFO journalist in the world, George Knapp, was involved with how that story got broken. Knew the people involved. They knew Area 51. So, who is this story for?
Yeah,
I ask you.
I think it's for other media. I think part of it is it's for other media to have an excuse to not do anything. I think it's intended for members of Congress to have an excuse to say, okay, I'm not going to pay any attention to this. It's also for people who are looking for any reason not to take the subject seriously, just ordinary people. I know that, I heard from my friend Bryce Zabel, who does a great podcast with Ross Coulthard called Need to Know. And he said he immediately started getting messages from friends saying, hey, did you see this? Hey, maybe this is all nothing. Maybe you're wasting your time.
Oh, how depressing. It's so depressing. Because the Wall Street Journal's readership, as most traditional media, especially kind of, and it's sad that, that it's a dwindling readership of these kind of flagship, sort of reliable old media, brands like the Wall Street Journal or New York Times. And the Wall Street Journal is also, it's a financial newspaper. It's it caters to, the business types and maybe tech folks and maybe some money folks. Maybe this is a way to try to prevent, investment in research into this topic, or because obviously the more money that goes into this, into things like the Saul Foundation or into private enterprise, like Avi Loeb, or people who are trying to create, funded research into this issue, they could see their funding dry up if, I guess the Wall Street Journal has weighed in. But if anyone, and I guess just knowing the Wall Street Journal did a debunking UFO story is enough, and people won't bother to actually read it. And if you read it, you'd realize it's like a page long. It's honestly the amount of words is just, there's just not and then they're like, we talked to lots of people and turns out nothing there, according to this one guy like Sidney Kirkpatrick.
Well, the second article, they really should have given Kirkpatrick a byline on it, because the entire thing is entirely quotes from him. But also I think right now there's a move to pass the UAP Disclosure Act too. And so maybe the Wall Street Journal and some of its readership or investors have a vested interest in that not passing, because maybe the Battels of the world, or the Northrop Grummans, or the Lockheed Martins, or Oak Ridge Laboratories, maybe they don't want the UAP Disclosure Act to be passed. They might not be good for business.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably a part of it. I feel like even if I wanted to, I could write a much more thorough debunking article. I mean, you could go at it in a number of ways. There's certainly like more energetic efforts you could make. There's plenty of there's plenty of mistakes made on the UAP advocacy side. There's a lot of people willing to. It just doesn't even do a good job of that. Like it's just sort of it's so disinterested in the topic that I'm the idea that but we still see that it's certainly enough to create a lot of energy in the kind of UFO community, and also I think just the idea that there was a debunking article is probably enough for a lot of people to go, okay, all right, I guess, despite everything to the contrary, despite the fact that there was a still as yet unexplained drone swarm of mystery objects in the sky for months. Just a few months ago.
The Langley Air Force Base was essentially shut down.
Yeah, yeah. That senators and governors and state senators and sheriffs and representatives were all completely up in arms, and it was national news for weeks.
Yeah.
No, doesn't warrant a mention. Doesn't
No.
like, hey, anybody. So, I suppose you're right in that this is, it could be a little bit of an umbrella for political folks to, not focus on this. And I think George Knapp brought up the money folks that might be the key readership is might think twice before they want to invest in this topic or get further research done. It's kind of depressing that it's still sort of such old and rusty machinery and tools still seems to kind of work a little bit.
Yes.
It's just
and just depressing. I mean, the thing that's always bothered me is that there's only a handful of journalists, credible, qualified journalists with great track records. There's only a handful that are willing to go out and do serious work on this. Obviously, our good friend George was way out in the forefront. And for people who want to think George is just a crazy UFO guy, they should see the shelves and shelves of Emmys and Peabodys that he has, in his office, and the work that he did on the mob before he ever even heard about UFOs. He was a guy who took big risks reporting on the mob in Vegas for years. So he was a journalist first and a UFO guy second, and he still is that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Leslie Kane and Ralph Blumenthal, who've taken the time to do some good work, and Mark van Rennekamp is doing good work. Ross Coulthart is doing good work.
Jesse Michaels is doing good work.
Jesse Michaels, yeah, but it's a tiny group of journalists that are willing to even talk about the subject.
Mm-hmm.
The only person in the MSNBC world is Gotti Schwartz, who's on their junior network, the NBC Now, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only person there that will talk about it.
Chris Cuomo, who's now at News Nation, has obviously made this an important, and I think News Nation as a network trying to listen. There's still a sexy quality to these stories, and there's still kind of there's still the affect that it is not real journalism to talk about it at all, which is a very pernicious and sticky holdover from kind of decades of intelligence CIA efforts to make sure that was the case, that was the takeaway from the Robertson panel. I want to get that correct.
Yeah, the Robertson panel, yeah.
Was we don't know what these fucking UFOs are, but we do know that we should completely ridicule this topic at every juncture and every possibility. So
and destroy anyone who tries to take it seriously.
And that is really what motivated George Knapp to get into this topic in the first place, is that he was getting a hold of material in the pre-FOIA, pre-Freedom of Information Act age, where military memos were going back and forth, where people were saying, this is real. We got these things buzzing our pilots. There are things in the air we can't explain. What is this? And they're going back and forth. I don't know what it is. They don't know. And then they put these panels. The public starts to get suspicious. They put together these panels that are just designed, like Blue Book, like J. Allen Hynek. They're designed to distract and, just look over here, public. Or if you talk about it, we're going to make fun of you. And that has sustained. It's a most incredibly sustained, durable kind of political tool that's been used against us ever since, to great success.
The power of ridicule is not to be underestimated. I mean, the fact that you can get somebody who a fighter pilot who's going to fly into a war zone in a machine that the machine he's flying could kill him.
Sure.
but he's going to fly in against other people and machines that want to kill him, and do that fearlessly. But if they, in the course of their activities, they witness a UFO, the fear of ridicule will be enough to silence them.
Yeah,
the bravest people on Earth can be silenced by ridicule.
And if you and there are so many kind of there's so much now testimony from pilots, that the idea that this article utterly ignores that testimony, completely ignores the most confirmed data on the topic, whether it's Tic Tac or anything else. They did another hand wavy thing of like, oh yeah, turns out that stuff was just seagulls and sun reflectors. Like they said that. Like they in no backup, no justification, no anything. Like, yep, this guy Sidney Kirkpatrick said these type pilots all just so that he's the expert, not the pilots, not the people flying the planes, not the people that are trained to be probably the best observers on the planet, right? Because their hand eye, their take in of things moving. They don't know light reflections, but apparently that it didn't warrant even. It was another hand wavy, like, yep, that was all concluded to be like bullshit. Just thousands. Even though we have testimony that sightings have gone on. Just take Tic Tac. It was 2 weeks or more of sightings of this object, confirmed on all kinds of different platforms, some classified, some unclassified, seen with the human eye, seen with machinery, seen in infrared, seen in FLIR. But no, just so it's enraging in some ways. It's sad, a little depressing. And
it's true. It's this subject where journalism keeps falling down so bad. I mean, if you're a journalist who specializes in covering, the intelligence or defense beat, I don't think you generally take anything that the Department of Defense says as necessarily true. I mean, in fact, part of the article says that the Defense Department was lying about UFOs in order to cover up their secret aerospace mission, development. So they, in the article, say the Pentagon lies to us, but then take everything the Pentagon says as truth and don't cite any counter arguments or any other facts. They don't investigate anything that would contradict the Pentagon. And they would, that would get you kicked out of your correspondence school journalism course. If you were that lazy.
Yeah, it shows such shocking incuriosity about the topic and very face value kind of reporting. So, not a good job, Joel and Aruna.
No.
But in other news, you very recently, were hand selected by our good friends George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell to bear witness to a new piece of military footage. I want you to walk me through what that process was and what you saw, because it's very cool.
Well, hopefully we should. Hopefully later we'll grab the video and edit this into me blabbering.
Cool. We'll do that.
Yes, I was out with George and Jeremy, and they had this new clip that they've been. I guess they had been vetting it for a couple of years now, and getting as many sources as they could to corroborate that it's legitimate. And it was footage from, I believe, a satellite based platform over a conflict zone. I think it's over the Afghan, where is it? What was it, over Afghan-Pakistan border?
Okay.
I can't remember now. And in the official documentation that accompanied the video, it was an object referred to as a disc, referred to as a UAP, and described as being between 200 and 400 feet in diameter.
That's a big ass disc.
Yes, and it was described as moving in and out of the clouds. And and Jeremy and George were still debating. The evening I was over there, they were still debating whether or not to go public with the video.
Why?
Just because they were I think they're always very, very cautious. I mean, I know Jeremy had the famous jellyfish video.
Yeah.
I know Jeremy had shown that to me 3 years before they went public with it. They take a long time. They get as many sources behind the scenes to corroborate it, and they try to make sure that what they're saying is true to the best of their knowledge.
They have this.
So,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, so to say, so then Jeremy told me all this, and they ran the video for us, and it's a video of what looks like a disc. I mean, obviously, we're looking down on the clouds and the object from a satellite from space. So, I mean, it could have been a sphere, but it looks like a disc. And you do see it going in and out of the clouds. You see the clouds clearly. And it does a hairpin turn. So it's traveling in this direction. It goes into the clouds and comes out of the clouds like this. So it's like a hairpin turn. So if you want to say it's something that was blowing in the wind, that wind would have had to been traveling against the wind in one direction or the other.
And I mean, it'd be 200 feet across. I mean, that's a hell of a fucking balloon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a lot of people really go all out for their kids' parties.
Yeah. It could be a bouncy house.
Yeah.
It could be a bouncy house full of kids at satellite level, going through the clouds, making hairpin turns.
So so it was pretty cool to be there and get to see this, ahead of everyone else getting to see it. As I said, Jeremy's been doing the rounds on talking to the journalists who will talk, and he keeps making it very clear. We're just telling you what it said in the official documentation that accompanied this video, and people are examining the video itself, and the Air Force. It was an Air Force platform that observed it. I guess it was they caught it passively because they were observing a conflict zone, and that the Air Force described it as a disc and as a UAP.
So if I'm to understand correctly, and definitely they have to be anyone in every second of every day, it becomes harder to come forward with footage that you can claim is real because of technology and AI. And of course, it's just becoming, who knows where we'll end up, but it's harder to do what those guys want to do, which is try to share, authentic UAP, government agreed that this is a UAP. So if I'm to understand, they have to protect sort of how they got it, but not only do they have to protect sort of the sources of how they got it, but they also have to kind of find multiple confirmations at the same time that this is what it claims to be. And they were able to conclude over the course of many, many, many months that this was authentic, that the military itself was considering it a confirmed UAP, which is confirming that they cannot confirm what it is.
Yes.
And it was and as I understand, because I saw the it has a few different angles that have been sort of, because it's in the clouds. It's and it is, if you imagine, it does seem like it's probably a fairly awesome object. Just in terms of its just its immensity. I mean, this is, and it is sort of classic, like not a Bob Lazar sort of 40 feet, 20 foot across saucer, but it is a classic flying saucer.
The lower end of the estimate is 200-foot diameter.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's no heat signature. It doesn't seem to be like
no. And this is for the Neil deGrasse Tysons out there. This is infrared footage, which to refer to it as blurry black and white footage is inaccurate, and if you're a smart person, it's willfully inaccurate, because actually infrared footage contains more information than visual spectrum photography. Because as you said, there's no heat signature. So, in a visual spectrum photography, you might not be able to see the heat plume of the propulsion system. But in the infrared, if there was a propulsion system, you would clearly see it. You would see it trailing behind, the direction of the object. And there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. So,
what does the Wall Street Journal have to say about it?
The Wall Street, it's a prank. Yeah, it's just a prank.
I want to go with the bouncy house. Let's go with bouncy house.
Yes. Yeah. They built a 200 to 400 foot bouncy house, launched it into the stratosphere.
It's very scary when you see those videos of the poor kids in the bouncy, like at the party, and everybody's having a good time, and the windstorm, out on the prairie, and that thing goes. That's not fun.
Yeah,
not fun for anybody inside. Sometimes tragic, but
sometimes you have to pay a certain price for a good prank.
Yeah. But you have to tell people it's a prank. That's the key thing.
It is the key.
Important to emphasize. Can't let entire careers go by in military and
decades.
Decades and alcoholism and everything else that would have, institutionalization. Yeah. It's like
lost relationships with children destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's all, all in good fun. The Air Force, they're big ribbers.
Yeah.
And they like to keep people on their toes.
Yeah. They love that Impractical Jokers show.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they watch at the Pentagon, night and day.
Yeah. That would be a good sort of side, a kind of branch off of that franchise. Would be the debunking. So that's okay. So and your takeaway from the footage?
It looks like a flying saucer. It looks like a really big flying saucer. Or, for people who watched the movie Nope, it looks a lot like the thing from Nope.
I haven't seen Nope, but I now should see Nope.
Yeah. It looks like a classic flying saucer. And as Jeremy said, this is the first he's ever seen footage of an actual disc. The classic, flying saucer disc-shaped object from an official government source. This is his first encounter with this kind of evidence.
Yes, because it's been a lot of orbs and tic tacs and triangles, and the saucer's been getting a little disrespected, and it's as the classic formulation goes. But
much like the VW bus, it's back.
it's back, baby. Speaking of orbs, have you been watching Skinwalker or Beyond Skinwalker?
I have. I didn't realize the new season had started. So I got to get back on top of that. I've been very lax. I've been very in my UFO obsession.
Lately. I like me some of the Beyond Skinwalker. I have to say, I mean,
some great stuff on that
it's
show.
Some really, really good stuff. And for those out there, I mean, who have not watched Skinwalker Ranch or Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, what I think we can both attest to is that, of course, Skinwalker is the most kind of studied piece of land, in UAP history. It is a ranch of high strangeness that goes back 100 years or more.
Hundreds of years in the amongst the indigenous people. There are stories of bizarre things in that area.
It is hard to say otherwise that something insane is going on there, and does seem portal related. It is just this amazing piece of land. It was studied by Robert Bigelow. George Knapp's written books on it with Colm Kelleher and James Lukatsky. That was heavily studied. It was also completely, again, hand-wavy dismissed by this Wall Street Journal article saying like, oh, and then there was this other thing where they were studying werewolves, which is like a really just choice trolling of what is an utterly unfair and ridiculous representation of that research and those books and that that study, which was government funded for years. The full amount of research has never been, fully revealed at all. I believe.
It's basically been held by all of the studies that were done for OSAP are still being held within government that Bigelow had. So they've never been able to release it. I mean, we know from talking to, again, our friend George that they did a lot of good studies and they got a lot of good results and a lot of interesting data.
And we've dug into this. That it is a legitimate scientific team at work there. It's very interesting. Also, there's a little crossover between Kirkpatrick because he lied about having had a meeting with the Skinwalker people from the ranch with Brandon Fugel, and he just flat out lied, said I never met with these people, and then was caught in photography having this meeting, which just shows the sort of kind of petty, the kind of just petty silliness and like lack of truth seeking of this guy, of the original sort of Arrow, and makes you just. But none of that was covered. My whole point kind of being is there was just this amazing kind of two-parter of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch about Chris Bledsoe, who's this.
Oh yes, I saw.
I
watched that. It was amazing.
Yes, he is a human antenna for orbs. I don't believe anyone has debunked him, and it's just one of these things. It does circle back and makes me think about these sort of psionic operators we've been hearing about recently, and this idea of summoning UAPs and psionic assets, and it does seem like Chris Bledsoe and it does seem like his daughter both have this ability to
and they've been sought out by multiple branches of the government.
Have they?
Yeah, I mean he's been brought into NASA. He's been basically brought in to go to launches and things for NASA, but also to be interviewed by people at NASA. He's worked with people at the CIA. I guess he was very Jim Semivan, I think, forged a very close relationship with him. I mean, his book is fantastic, the UFO of God, because Bledsoe is a very religious man, so he interprets a lot of what he's experiencing through the prism of his religious beliefs. But he says these orbs show up and they communicate with him. They tell him things. And he was able to help thwart an assassination plot against the Pope at one point. I believe it was when the Pope was visiting.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, for those listening, and we're pounding on the Wall Street Journal and the sort of sad state of journalism on this topic, but there's some very interesting documentary work happening in those shows that I believe is vouchable. There's enough kind of points of contact that I think we have to suggest that you can take certain things with a grain of salt, but there's I do believe there's an honest effort to convey what's actually happening in these and
Well, I think Skinwalker Ranch and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, those two shows are putting out stuff that is it's data, and it's really convincing data. Going back to having rockets hit something invisible in midair.
They have really come up with some it really is mind-bending how they have now, through multiple experiments, created this kind of digital laser construction of some enclosure around this ranch that is kind of inexplicable, doesn't is beyond a sort of definition, and yet they are able to kind of identify its presence in sort of all of these multiple ways that really, and what's so amazing is that the way LiDAR and the way certain radars and lasers malfunction around this land and this area creates this, what is a globe that actually goes under the Earth as well, so that it's sort of in this kind of egg that, again, is kind of only detectable through some of the malfunctioning equipment, but it all adds up to this very, very fascinating map.
Yeah. There's these dead data spots from multiple instruments. And you have, again, rockets deflecting off of this dead zone in the air consistently. And then on top of that, all of the constant inexplicable failures of equipment. They'll have like 1,000 drones that they're putting up in the air, and they all start to fail.
Yeah. Yes. Cattle mutilations and all sorts of phenomenon, including this mountain that appears to have been purposefully exploded to bury something. They keep sort of digging in this mountain to try to identify this anomalous object, this anomalous and huge object in the mountain
that they've tried to drill. They keep hitting it with drills.
Yeah, and
it keeps burning out their drills.
And and some of the particles and materials that were pulled out of it are similar to what the space shuttle used for heat shilding.
Yes,
which is not what you assume you would pull out of a
a plateau in the middle of Utah.
A random mountain.
It was a layered material. Yeah, that resembled heat shielding, and the other like very, very constructed material. So it's not naturally occurring material, and for some reason it's inside this mountain.
So if you are wondering where to get your cool UAP media, other than your really podcast, which of course should be your first stop, then we're
a clearinghouse. We're a conduit.
Yeah, for sure. And that's my TV review of the current season of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. The Chris Bledsoe stuff, it's really interesting. It'd be amazing to have on the show.
Yes, I'd love to.
We have to start putting together our wish list for our new season. What are you hoping? Who are you hoping to talk to? What are you hoping to find out in the next few months here?
Oh my God! Well, there's so many people I'd love to talk. We still would love to get Lou Elizondo on here at some point. Mm-hmm. We're talking about maybe trying to get Peter Scafish on.
Mm-hmm. That would be really cool.
One of the founders of the Soul Foundation.
Yes, PhD anthropologist with some fascinating sort of theories and ideas about this topic for sure. Very smart fellow.
Yeah, and Robert Hastings, the author of UFOs and Nukes, would be great to have on. Mm-hmm. One of the most I think one of the most respectable voices in the whole field. Mm-hmm. There's so many great people that I hope we get a chance to talk to.
For sure. And
there's a increasing number of celebrities going public with their UFO encounters, and it'd be nice to maybe get some of those people on to try and help reduce the stigma.
Totally. And we'll be doing our part too, because we'll have some really interesting stuff to talk about on this podcast, just in terms of what we're all up to in the months ahead.
Some other exciting developments.
Big time. Yeah. So that'll also be cool. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Yeah, and I'm glad UFO things are still happening since we've been lax.
We're catching up. We're back. We're going to be better than ever. It's going to be really, really exciting several months ahead, and we'll be covering it all. And get back in the saddle, as they say.
All right.
All right. But let's do this. Let's do this again soon.
Yes.
And let's get some of these folks to talk to. And it's always good. Enjoy Martha's Vineyard. I hope you meet a Kennedy.
Yeah. One of the good ones, I hope.
Yeah. Get some good ones. Look through, I hear they just wander through the woods. I mean, if you just, it's like,
Yeah.
just find that they're everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll get on one of the Kennedy tours. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good. All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.